Your roadmap to the latest in auto. Welcome to Highway Herald. And today, we're steering into a conversation that's not just about cars, but about national direction, global alliances, and a political pivot that's left even the US blinking in disbelief. Buckle up, gearheads, because Canada's potential tilt toward the European Union isn't just a diplomatic detour. It's a strategic recalibration with serious implications. Let's downshift and look under the hood of this geopolitical shift. We're talking history, strained cross-border relations, and powerful economic incentives that could have millions of Canadians shifting gears, away from the United States and toward the autobahns and alliances of Europe. Rebuilt from the ground up, historical bonds and common values. Canada's connection to Europe isn't just surface level, it's in its DNA. With deep colonial roots under both British and French flags, and a political system modeled after Westminster democracy, Canada feels familiar to many across the Atlantic. Its bilingual identity, social programs, and even legal structures reflect a Eurocentric heritage that continues to influence its policies and cultural makeup today. And it doesn't stop there. Values matter too. Canada's commitment to universal healthcare, multiculturalism, and human rights mirrors the very principles at the heart of the European Union. That moral and ideological alignment has led to collaborative efforts in everything from climate action to peacekeeping. Now shift into trade. With the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, CETA, kicking in provisionally back in 2017, Canada and the EU already share a strong commercial handshake. Tariffs? Mostly gone. Market access? Boosted. It's a deal that benefits both sides and lays the groundwork for something bigger. But what happens when long-time trade relations with a neighbor get bumpy? Let's shift to the next chapter and examine Canada's recent friction with the US. Shifting gears, from cross-border tension to transatlantic interest. Now let's talk about that sputtering engine in Canada-US relations, especially during President Trump's time in office. The 2025 tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel? That wasn't just economic friction, it was a full-blown misfire. And Canada didn't just take it lying down. Faced with unpredictable trade moves and political jabs, including the infamous 51st state rhetoric, Canada's policymakers and citizens alike began looking for a more stable ride. That's when the EU started to seem like a high-end alternative to their clunky American partnership. CETA's success became more than just a trade story. It turned into a roadmap for a possible new direction. Politicians and industry leaders alike began wondering, what if we took this economic alliance and made it something more? The desire to diversify, to find a balance against the instability of US policies, has gained serious momentum. And for many Canadians, Europe's reliability is more appealing than the uncertainty from the South. And as talk of economic diversification picked up speed, another gear came into play: strategic advantages of deeper EU integration. Before we delve deeper, we'd appreciate it if you could subscribe to Highway Herald. Your support fuels our passion to create more content like this. Now, let's explore our next chapter, Powered by Purpose, the strategic upside of EU integration. Let's punch it into overdrive. Imagine Canada not just trading with Europe, but joining the EU. That would be more than a diplomatic handshake. It'd be a total alignment of economic engines. First off, Canada would gain unrestricted access to the EU's massive single market, home to over 450 million consumers. For Canadian manufacturers, tech innovators, and energy producers, that's like opening up a whole new track to race on. Then there's energy. Canada's natural resources make it a prime candidate to support the EU's push for energy diversification. Liquefied natural gas, LNG, hydroelectric partnerships, and renewable tech could become key exports, serving European demand while boosting Canada's global trade horsepower. Strategically, EU membership could also amplify Canada's voice on the world stage. Picture Canada contributing to European defense initiatives, participating in climate strategies, and helping steer global cybersecurity norms. It's not just about economics, it's about influence, shared governance, and a commitment to multilateral stability. Sounds promising, right? But let's not forget, the road to membership has some serious bumps. Next up, the legal and geopolitical roadblocks that may stall Canada's ride. Roadblocks on the horizon, legal loops and continental constraints. Canada's potential leap into the European Union isn't just bold, it's legally and geopolitically tangled. One of the steepest inclines? Article 49 of the Treaty on European Union. It clearly states only European nations can apply. And while Canada may share values with Europe, its zip code reads North America. That technicality alone makes full EU membership a tough climb. Now, sure, there are exceptions. Think of France's overseas territories. But those are extensions of an existing EU state, not a sovereign nation like Canada joining from across the pond. That's a whole different transmission. Even if the legal barrier could be bypassed, the political terrain is equally rocky. All 27 EU member states would have to greenlight Canada's entry, and many might hesitate to redefine what European even means. There's concern about setting a precedent that blurs geographic identity and could invite other non-European nations to line up next. Then there's domestic realignment. For Canada to sync with EU standards, it would mean overhauls in taxation, labor policy, environmental benchmarks, and judiciary norms. While some Canadians may welcome those changes, others see them as a risk to sovereignty. Critics also point to the EU's internal dysfunctions, like Brexit and bureaucratic inefficiencies, as red flags. But where do Canadians themselves stand on all this? Let's hear from the people. The people's voice, public pulse, and political signals. So, what do Canadians actually think about joining the EU? Well, it's a mixed bag. Recent surveys show around 44% are in favor, 34% against, and a sizable 25% still in neutral. That signals interest, but also uncertainty. Younger Canadians and urban dwellers seem more revved up about the idea, drawn by Europe's progressive policies and stable alliances. They view it as a modern pivot, one that offers balance against America's unpredictability and turbocharged politics. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Mark Carney's early visits to Paris and London weren't just diplomatic niceties. They were seen as strategic pit stops, signaling a real shift in alignment. His rhetoric about a multipolar world adds fuel to the speculation. But rural voters and political opponents are pumping the brakes. To them, the EU feels distant and overly bureaucratic, and concerns about abandoning long-standing US ties still run deep. Critics say the Carney government might be revving in neutral without a clear roadmap. Verdict: the Great Realignment. Can Canada truly cross the Atlantic? Canada's flirtation with the European Union says more about global power shifts than geography. It's symbolic of a nation rethinking its alliances, exploring whether East-West cooperation can replace, or at least balance, its long-standing North-South ties. Full EU membership? Unlikely, unless the rulebook is rewritten. But stronger strategic partnerships with Europe? That engine's already running. Now let's toss the keys to you. Should Canada seriously explore EU membership, or is this too far-fetched? Do you think Canadians are ready for tighter integration with Europe? Could EU standards and regulations impact Canada's auto or energy industries? Is Prime Minister Carney's pivot a smart strategic maneuver or a risky gamble? And finally, if not the EU, where should Canada turn for its next major alliance? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Enjoyed the ride? Be sure to subscribe to Highway Herald for your next hit of vehicle updates, global shifts, and smart geopolitical commentary. The road ahead is packed with stories, and we'll be here to guide you. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Check out the videos on screen for more deep dives and updates from the auto world and beyond.